Long time no see, everyone. Hello, Elsie Young the Great here, and welcome back to the Texas Rangers franchise on MLB 22. This series will be going nowhere, even though MLB 23 is coming out very soon. But we got to get to June 2nd today for the MLB First Year Player Draft, otherwise known as the Amateur Draft, because the Texas Rangers are picking third, as we're going to see right here. We have the third pick in the first round. And in this game, those really high picks often give you some very special players, blue chips as the game like to call them. As we start simming here to get to it, and Nathaniel Lau breaks his ankle, which is actually pretty big, because he was actually having a really good start to the season, hitting over 350, and with B potential being 26, he still has a long time to develop, and he could be 85 overall in those 4 years if he kept on that pace. We had plenty of people I considered calling up: Blaine Crim, even Josh Young, even though he can't play first base. We could find somebody to do it. In the end, I called up Matt Carpenter because I didn't feel like it was the time to call up Young, and Carpenter's a vet who has been in the majors before, and it's not like we'll be missing something, I should say, as this would be the lineup that we'd roll through into June, as Carpenter would be batting in the top of the lineup versus righties, while Charlie Culberson will be batting at first base, or playing first base against lefties. As now we are here in the 2022 First Year Player Draft, and there's only two teams ahead of us, the Orioles and the Diamondbacks. One of those teams we might have to deal with, but as we see here, we don't have a competitive balance round A pick, and we don't have a round 2 pick because of Corey Seager, I presume. So, and we also don't have a compensatory or competitive balance round B pick, so we really need to hit on this first round pick because we're not getting a second rounder. The only two people taken before us, starting pitcher Brian Harper and outfielder Freddie Peralta, but I would not have made either of them that first pick, as now we are officially on the clock with plenty of good players, plenty of blue chippers to take, as it would be. There's a really interesting one in Clyde Porter with his contact. But we can go many ways. I mean, this team needs a rebuild in almost every sense of the word. So pitching, fielding, you can do whatever you want here as far as, what you want to pick. But I found these two guys, Edmund Hogsett, who is the starting pitcher, who's 18 and has really good ratings, and Jarrett Cortez, who has lower stamina but higher everything else compared to Hogsett. And obviously they're both 18, both from Venezuela. There was also the 18-year-old right fielder Mark Joseph, who had some pop in his bat, but I just had to decide between these two pitchers because I felt like if we were going to make a move, it had to be at pitcher. And in the end, it was really hard to pick between the two. In the end, I ended up selecting Jarrett Cortez. That stamina is not super duper important to me, so I'll take the higher per nines right now, as we see all these players going the rest of round 1, round 2, and then 2 other sort of compensatory rounds, as Edmund Hogsett ended up going to the Tigers. So we might see him in the future, but we shall see if that affects the series in any way, not taking him. With our second pick, I ended up actually taking Armando Del Gaudio. He does not have 80 potential, but he has really high contact, and he has at least 75 potential, so I viewed it, and he's also 18, I viewed it as a pretty darn good selection. Here in the third round, there was Jeremy McCauley. I did end up, looking at some other players, Jared Aguero and King, who's the next prospect, Charlie King. But in the end, I just wanted to trust the potential here. Avi Nieto was actually really interesting. But we already had a contact hitter. Decided to trust the potential in Jeremy McCauley. Have another guy for the future there. And then here in round 4 or 5, I think it's 4. I'm sorry. We're actually drafting blind because we have nobody available there. I ended up taking Andreas Sosa. His ratings looks pretty good for somebody who was scouted. And then the final round, as that was round 5, we go here, and still plenty of decently good players out there. Then Kelvin Parrish caught my eye with his power. You don't usually see really good power in prospects. There was Paul Clark also, but he was a catcher and he had high pop. At the very worst, he was going to be a decently good power bat for the minors. So that ended out the first draft in the series, and as you can see here, Jarrett Cortez does have a potential being a blue chipper. 93 potential for Jarrett Cortez, and all of his ratings are in a pretty good spot. Same thing with Armando Delgado. He just needs to work on his fielding. Jeremy McCauley, of course, is going to be a long-term project. I knew that when I selected him. He has the second highest potential. Andreas Sosa looks pretty good, and Calvin Parrish doesn't have the potential, but hey, he has really good pop. Like, really good pop. As now we look around the rest of the AL West, the Mariners did pretty good. Got a couple of decently high potential players. Nobody I'm too concerned about as far as their draft. Oakland ended up selecting Jimmy McCauley. He's definitely going to be one of the best relievers here in a few years. Thomas Guyon looks pretty good, but other than that, they kind of bombed out on their last few selections. As Oakland begins its even harder rebuild than ours, I would like to feel. The Angels actually had a really solid draft, taking a lot of players with playable potential. Even Sam Hagen, who's got some speed. They actually found a relief pitcher who has potential, which was a little bit shocking to me. And the Astros drafted 4 guys with 75 plus potential. So the Astros are still hanging at the top, as that would be pretty much the end of the draft recap. But I did want to go check on one more player, and that was Edmund Hogsett. He has 91 potential, and his ratings are not in the same spot, as good of a spot. So I think we got the right pitcher here. As now we're just trying to get a little bit further. We're going to sim a little bit past the draft here to the 15th of June, as we have a couple minor injuries on the way. But we actually started off June really well, as Carpenter also sprains his knee ligament, and Adolis Garcia gets hurt. But the Rangers are actually handling June very, very well. This is the lineup I ended up doing. Charlie Culberson, starting first baseman. Cole Calhoun will slide in right field. And that's pretty much how it looks for the entirety of the lineup. But yeah, short episode today. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.